Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this regular board meeting of Desert Water Agency to order on July 7th, 2026. And just as a notice, this meeting is being held virtually and in person, and the link and telephone option were provided for the convenience of the public. In order to reduce feedback, please mute your audio when you are not speaking. And also, I'd like to announce that everyone's audio for those participating virtually will be muted in order to reduce feedback during this meeting. And I'd like to remind everybody in the boardroom to please turn off or mute any electronic devices. And make sure to unmute your microphone when speaking, and to also speak clearly and directly into the microphone. For discussion and questions, I will call on directors in the following roll call order: Director Bowman, Director Grasha, Secretary Treasurer Ortega, Vice President McKenna, and then myself. All votes will be conducted via roll call. Now I'd like to ask Secretary Treasurer Ortega to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And now I'll ask Ms. Baca to do a roll call, please.
Director Bowman.
Present.
Director Grasha.
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega.
Present.
Vice President McKenna.
Present.
And President Bloomer.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to item number 4. This is public comment on items not on the agenda. And this is the time for the public to make comments on items not listed on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the agency. Speakers are requested to keep their comments to no more than 3 minutes. And as provided in the Brown Act, the board is prohibited from acting on items not listed on the agenda. Have we received any public comments for items not on the agenda via email?
No, we have not.
And I don't see anybody virtually wanting to make a comment or in the boardroom. So we'll move on to public comment on items listed on the agenda. And again, I ask speakers to keep their comments to no more than 3 minutes. Have we received any comments on?
No comments have been received.
Okay, I don't see anybody raising their hand to make comments virtually, and nobody in the board meeting. So we can move on to item number 6, the consent calendar. At this time, I'd like to ask the board members if they have any items that they would like to have pulled from the consent calendar. Seeing none.
Move item 6, consent calendar as presented.
And I'll second that.
We have a first by Director Grasha and a second by Secretary Treasurer Ortega. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Director Bowman.
Aye.
Director Grasha.
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega.
Aye.
Vice President McKenna.
Aye.
And President Bloomer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Now it is time for public hearing. At this time, I'd like to ask for Finance Director Slough to present the staff report.
Thank you, President Bloomer and members of the board. I'm here to request adoption of ordinance number 81, establishing compensation and reimbursement for expenses for board directors. On July 1st, 2025, the board adopted ordinance number 79, amending section 1 of ordinance number 78, establishing compensation for each day of service by directors. This amendment fixed compensation at $436.68 for each day of service. Beginning in May 2020 and each year thereafter, staff performs a board compensation and benefit survey and presents it to the Finance Committee as part of the budget preparation process. At the May 18th Finance Committee meeting, the Finance Committee reviewed the survey and recommended that we take it to the board for consideration of an increase. At the June 2nd, 2026 board meeting, The Board of Directors discussed increasing the rate of pay received by board directors for each day of service by 2.9%. This is the same percentage increase that was provided to employees for the COLA adjustment for the 26-27 budget year. So if this increase was enacted, that would raise the rate to $449.34 for each day of service. According to California Water Code Section 2022, this increase may not exceed an amount equal to 5% for each calendar year following the last adjustment. So as a result, that this increase, if adopted, would go into effect on October 1st, 2022. I also want to note that we did publish a notice of hearing for this hearing in the public record newspaper on June 23rd and June 30th. Prior action on July 1st, 2025, ordinance number 79 was adopted. The fiscal impact of a 2.9% increase is $7,200. Legal counsel has reviewed this ordinance and staff report. And so at this time, I would like to recommend that to open the public hearing and present the report and receive public testimony and comments. And then following the public hearing, if the board desires to increase the rate of pay, staff recommends the adoption of ordinance number 81.
Thank you very much. So at this time, I will open the public hearing, and this is the time and place for a public hearing on item 7A, request adoption of ordinance number 81, establishing compensation and reimbursement for expenses for directors. So I now declare that the public hearing is open, and I'd like to ask any members of the public who wish to speak on this item to come to the podium if you're in the boardroom, or raise your hand via Zoom. Seeing none, I will ask Board Secretary Baca, do we receive any written comments?
No, we have not.
Okay. And any board comments at this time?
I have a question.
Yes.
So we approved a budget that included this. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is included in the budget. Just keeping in mind that on the budget, we have to estimate how many meetings that you guys have had.
Right.
So that number, with the $7,200 did really.
Right. So in my view, everything that we do as a board, our staff, everything about this agency is planning, future planning. Everything we do is so the next generation of people that move to town have the same truly luxurious water system that we have compared to many. And one of those things is the uncomfortable, being put in the uncomfortable position of continuing with board member stipends. It's been going this way since 1960. You walked into a perfectly planned system, just like our staff included it in the budget already, that we would not have to make any changes to our system to make sure that our successors, people that follow us behind, are as compensated as well as we were when we got here. And I can tell you, having experience on other boards that did not do that over the generations, find themselves with boards at each other's throats in ways that is completely disastrous for the community. And so it's my view that we continue that tradition, and the $12 is not going to cause a ruckus in the community. I can assure you of that. So I would make the motion that we approve.
We have to finish the public hearing.
Oh, I thought we did that.
No. So if there's not any other comments or questions, I'll close the public hearing.
Is there still going to be time for discussion?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I will officially close the public hearing. And now I'll ask for questions and comments from the board. Director Bowman.
There was some discussion about the 10 days expanding to 15. Do we know anything about that potential?
Yes. So, okay. Good morning. Yeah, so Assembly Bill 2568 is currently in the state legislature. It has passed its Senate Local Government Committee, just to give you a status on the bill, which means that it's been sent to the Senate floor and eligible to be taken up for a roll call hearing at any point. That being said, the bill does expand from 10 meetings to 15 meetings for water districts that have a population of 90,000 or greater within its jurisdictional area, which I do believe Desert Water Agency would be falling under that, being its whole jurisdiction. And so that's where it stands. So it's still in the process, and my understanding from the bill, pending, I suppose, legal, there's no official start date in that. So typically that means it would start the following January if signed by the governor in September.
And to add, during the preparation of the budget, understanding that this bill has some momentum, we've included the last half of the fiscal year to increase from the 10 to 15, just to be prepared if and when it does happen.
Perfect. Thank you. Is that it? Director Gracia?
Just to follow up on that. So that bill hasn't passed the legislature. It's been passed in the Assembly to the Senate. It hasn't been signed by the governor. And I'm not trying to contradict your thinking, but I gave it a lot of thought. And that bill is a long way from having an effect on us, I think. So I kind of discounted it in my thinking, because that's a big ask in terms of getting it done. And then this board has to adopt an ordinance that allows for those 15 meetings. And I'll tell you, I'm not sure that would pass. So it's my thinking that we keep going as it's been presented to us and where we're at today. And then if it comes up down the road, you can readjust the stipend at any time. If the board decided to change it to 15 meetings, you could literally adjust the amount of stipend in that ordinance. So, I thought about it and I thought, the governor's not signing, from what I've been following, bills that are, I guess, what you could refer to as money bills. Things that cost money aren't getting passed or not getting signed. And although this is not a state-funded, it just seems like it's a big ask to do that. But I don't know how many agencies have gotten involved in supporting it. I was surprised it passed through the Assembly with no opposition. Basically, I think there were 10 people that didn't show up that day to vote, but 10 members of the Assembly. But it looks like it could happen, but it hasn't. And the governor has to sign it. And I got to tell you, I'm not sure that that's one that they're going to want to do. So anyway, that was what I thought of it.
If I may add or build off of that, so that this will be a separate item that we would bring back to the board if and when that actually does pass, because you're correct, I do believe that we would need to pass another ordinance for how many days of compensation this board is eligible for. So that's something that we would bring back at a separate time if and when that bill does pass. And so that would be a separate decision of this board. But right now we are discussing just that 2.9% COLA increase as contemplated by staff.
The one other thing I thought of about this is that one of the things that I think this board should take into consideration over the next year or two is expanding opportunities for directors to attend meetings where they can learn educational, and those aren't necessarily conferences. I attend the Western Water meeting. I learned more there in 2 hours than I learned at any aqua conference. In fact, in my report, I'm hoping to remember to update on that subject, and that was the report that Met gave involving our agency and Coachella Valley Water District and the work on our agreement on the Colorado River. It was something that I had brought up, I think, a meeting or two ago, whether or not we're going to be on solid ground. They announced it at that meeting that was going to be a priority this year and continuing as the next this year and next, that we would continue to be a priority on their advanced delivery schedule, which is a big deal. And, we wouldn't have had that little bit of information had, they would have it, but that doesn't help us as board members. We don't need to know everything that they know, but we need to know enough to know what the actions that we're taking. And to do that, you have to, that's I think a 3-hour meeting, that is not compensable. And I'm not suggesting that should be, but I'm saying that we should take a look at other opportunities of those things that should be on the list. Attending other district meetings should probably be considered to be on the list, because what worries me is, we're some members are following along with Mission Springs and others at myself at Coachella Valley Water District. But I'll tell you, if you're not getting out there to the other agencies with more and additional responsibility, how boards interact with each other, if you're going to use that limited knowledge, it's not great. And this agency of all the agencies, the 15 directors in the Coachella Valley, 8 of them are from Desert Hot Springs, and the educational opportunities at Mission Springs Water District are so limited that we need to make sure that when those directors move up to this board, that they're welcome with opportunities to go out and learn. And to be a fully functioning board member, you got to know something, and you can't rely on the things that you're going to learn from boards with limited expertise. So,
Treasurer Grasha, all we're talking about.
I get it, but it's all the same. It's $12.
I see.
But if they didn't make that decision 20 years ago to continue down this path, since 1960, if they had followed the mandate all the way through, the director's compensation would be over $800 a meeting. If they went back to the beginning and follow what they were allowed to increase it to. One time,
In favor of the increase.
I think that we need to be careful not to cut off our nose to spite our face. And future directors need to know that they are now responsible for something more than just picking on the guy sitting next to them. And I think this helps do that.
Okay. Secretary Treasurer Ortega.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not in favor of the increase.
Vice President McKenna.
I'm a little conflicted, to be honest. There are days you spend 2 hours in agency business, and it seems like a lot of money to ask the ratepayers to fund. And then there are days you have to get up at 3 a.m. in order to catch a flight back from a conference or something. So just for information, when this agency was established in 1962, the rate was set at $50 a day. And according to the Federal Reserve's inflation calculator, in today's dollars, that's $546. So it has not kept pace with inflation. The number looks large, but I'm coming down on the side of the increase, because we should be in lockstep with the employees of the agency. We should not be paid, given adjustments of less than they get. And this is an inflation adjustment, 2.9%. It's not a real increase in real money. So when I look at it that way, I come down in favor of making the change.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to echo Vice President McKenna's comments and say that the increase and keeping pace with the employees with the COLA adjustment makes sense to me. So with that, if there's no further comments, we'll.
I would move the staff recommendation.
Okay.
That is to approve the increase. No?
We will need a separate recommendation that is restated, the staff's recommendation that if the board desires to increase, they need to pass this ordinance. So we need a motion to pass the ordinance.
That's what I move.
Okay, I will second. So we have first from Director Grasha and a second from myself, and now we'll do a roll call vote.
Director Bowman,
Aye.
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega,
No.
Vice President McKenna,
Aye.
and President Bloomer.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
Okay. All right, now we will move on to item number 8, action items. 8A, request authorization for general manager to execute contracts with Piedmont Hydro Technologies LLC and Tess Electric Incorporated for the modernization of the Snow Creek Hydroelectric Plant. Mr. Sarpong.
Good morning, President Bloomer, members of the board. Today I'm here to talk about the Snow Creek Hydroelectric Plant Modernization Project. First, some background. The Snow Creek Hydroelectric Plant was constructed in 1988 and produces 300 kilowatts of electrical power using water from the Snow Creek and Falls Creek intakes. Electrical sales can produce approximately $10,000 per month in revenue. Staff has successfully operated the Snow Creek Hydro Plant for the past 38 years with minor improvements to the controls protective relays, which are largely original and have started to fail. Staff coordinated with Piedmont Hydro Technologies to provide a quote to modernize the controls and protective relays at the Snow Creek Hydro Plant, including software and systems integrated parts and materials. The modernization includes a new control panel and touchscreen, remote access and control capabilities, including automatic start and stop and restart. Back in 2022, we did the same sort of modernization on Whitewater Hydro. Not only can we restart and stop the unit remotely, the unit has the ability to restart itself after it goes through a 10-minute self-check. Okay, we still have the added flexibility at that site to run the plant based on cubic feet per second or kilowatts. Okay, because of these upgrades, we save a lot of time when it comes to man hours trying to operate the site. To perform the on-site electrical work to support the modernization, staff received a quote from Tess Electric, a local electrical contractor, to provide additional, more common materials to remove existing controls, prepare the site for Piedmont Hydro to wire the components as needed, and install a new motor control center. Now, we've partnered with Tess Electric in the past. This past spring, they completed installations at wells 37 and 38, as well as the Canto Booster Station. They're one of the few companies in Southern California that can actually design, build, and install motor control centers. Okay, during their installations, we'll actually send out one of our techs along to do the wiring and installation with them. That way, there's additional learning there. Okay. In my estimation, Tess, they do really good work. We've worked with them for almost 15 years now. They're really responsive to agency needs. They, if there's an issue with anything they install, they're there the next day to make repairs. In addition to the controls and protective relay work, staff has planned a mechanical overhaul of the Pelton wheel turbine. The turbine has been operating without any improvements since the plant was constructed. Staff will be contracted with Canyon Hydro to provide improvements to the turbine actuator and overhaul the nozzle and deflector assemblies. There is no prior action. The fiscal impact of this project will be for Piedmont Hydrotech for the sum of $224,800 for the controls and protective relays. Tess Electric, $129,981.80 for the motor control design and installation. The actual contract has been updated to reflect this amount. Canyon Hydro for the sum of $94,200 for the turbine overhaul. This portion will not be presented to the board because it falls under the $100,000 threshold. The total estimated cost for the project will be $486,000, including DWA labor and overhead, is included in the 2026-2027 budget. This has been reviewed by the finance director. Legal review has been completed. As far as the strategic plan alignment, Goal 3, Modernization, Initiative 3.1.2, investigate modernization opportunities of water importation facilities to increase operations efficiencies. Recommendation, staff recommend that board authorize general manager to execute the contract agreement with Piedmont Hydro Technologies for $224,800 and the contract agreement with Test Electric for $129,981.80. Also, there are attachments for the Piedmont PO agreement and the Test Electric agreement. Thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions over anything I covered here this morning?
Thank you very much. Any questions, Director Bowman? Director Gracia?
So your plan is to replace the system that was part of the original construction? This operation has been in service since the 80s, I think, 82 or so.
So pretty much modernizing the plant, just so now if we want to go there, we can just push the start button and the plant starts to come online.
Good. All right. I'm all for staying up to date.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega?
I have no questions.
Vice President McKenna?
Yeah, I'm delighted to see this kind of attitude to our infrastructure. Waiting until it breaks is not a good policy for a public utility. It's what Edison does. So it killed 85 people and destroyed the son of paradise. So all of our infrastructure should be looked at from the point of view of keep it to its maximum efficiency, not wait till it breaks. So I really applaud this action and encourage you to do more of it. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have any comments or questions. Thank you for
Thank
the
you for your time.
presentation. And now I will look for a motion.
Move the staff recommendation.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a first by Director Gracia and a second by Secretary Treasurer Ortega, and now we'll do a roll call vote.
Director Bowman,
A hearty yay.
Director Gracia,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega,
Aye.
Vice President McKenna,
Aye.
and President Bloomer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8B, requested authorization for general manager to execute commercial lease agreement for 690 Industrial Place with Hoffman Steel Fabrication, Inc. Assistant General Manager Tate.
Good morning, President Bloomer and members of the board. Desert Water Agency has owned the property at 690 Industrial Place for decades. The property originally served as the maintenance yard for Palm Springs Water Company. Since the construction of the current operations center, the property at 690 Industrial Place has been leased for various purposes. At the February 17, 2026 board meeting in closed session, staff was given direction to negotiate the lease terms with the current occupant. Staff has negotiated the lease agreement and the tenant is ready to sign. The key terms of the lease are 4-year lease and then 4 extension options, so that'd be a total of 20 years. The monthly rent will be $3,115. That'll increase annually with the CPIU. The rent is broken up into 2 components, $3,000 per month for an exclusive lease area, and then $150 a month per a conditional area that the agency could recall if needed due to a well site that's on the property. There has been no prior board action. The fiscal impact for fiscal year 2026-2027 is $34,650. Finance Director Slough has reviewed this report. Legal counsel has reviewed the lease agreement. This aligns with Strategic Plan Goal 1, Sustainability, Initiative 1.4.3, pursue non-rate revenue sources to support agency operations, conservation, and customer assistance programs. Staff recommends that the board authorize the general manager to execute the lease agreement for 690 Industrial Place with Hoffman Steel Fabrication Incorporated. Thank you for your time. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Director Bowman?
My only concern might be the extended, terms after that 4-year period. Is that would the terms be renegotiated at that point?
So the rent will go up with CPIU every year.
Right.
So every year it'll go up.
At the end of the 4 years, the tenant has the option to sign up for another 4 years.
Are we obligated then to keep it at that rate that has been bumped up?
Under the lease, yes. Unless,
So
unless
if all of a sudden the property becomes very valuable to other things, we're obligated?
there's a termination clause in there, so we can, I need to look at it again. But no, I mean, if the value increased dramatically, then the tenant would have a pretty good deal for the life of the lease.
That's what I'm saying.
And-
And I don't mind good deals. I like good deals,
Right.
but is it good for the district?
Additionally, the agency does have the option to cancel it as well. So there is a cancellation clause. So if in that case that did happen and the agency made the decision to utilize the property for other purposes, there would be the opportunity to cancel the lease. And we are not obligated to continue the lease. It is a mutual agreement to continue the lease.
You said use the property for other purposes. What if we didn't find another purpose, but we realize we're giving a super bargain out there? Is that-
Well, I think we should be clear, if we're going to commit to a contractual, we're going to honor our contracts. I think even if we're getting a bad deal, we're an open meeting. We should be very clear that we're not going to just, terminate just because we don't like the deal that we've given out. We do have, as Esther said, we do have a way to terminate this lease if we want to. So, if that's something that we wanted to do at a later time, we could do that.
Just looking forward, that's it?
I think to add to that, there's a value in having an excellent tenant, and we currently have that.
I
So there
understand
would be an unknown of canceling the agreement and going with a different tenant that might not be as good. But we have an excellent tenant right now.
Heard that. Thank you.
Agreed. And one more thing that I would like to point out, that in order to renew, part of the reason why are these renewal clauses is because it takes a significant amount of effort to renegotiate, a significant cost, not only in labor, but also in the cost, because we had this property appraised to make sure to reset it, because this tenant has been there for quite some time. We wanted to make sure to reset it at current market value. So we did have it appraised, and that also comes at significant cost. So this is also a cost-saving measure for the agency.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Director Grasha?
Just, I appreciate all the work. I know this was a grind for, I don't know, over a year or something. I'm glad to hear that. I think it comes up to what is par for the, market rent. So, and the escalators keep it that way. It provides certainty for the district, and it provides certainty for the tenant. So it's a good good operation, and it's I'm glad we were able to come to terms. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Secretary Treasurer Ortega?
I have no further comments.
Vice President McKenna?
No comment from me.
And I don't have any further comments, so,
I move the staff recommendation, approve the lease as presented.
And I'll second that.
so we have a first by Director Grasha and a second by Secretary Treasurer Ortega. And any further discussion? All right, no, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Director Bowman,
Aye.
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega,
Aye.
Vice President McKenna,
Aye.
and President Bloomer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to item 8C, request adoption of resolution number 1376, establishing tax rate for fiscal year 26-27, and that is Finance Director Slough.
Thank you, President Bloomer. Attached for the board's review is a copy of resolution number 1376, which certifies to the Riverside County Board of Supervisors the Desert Water Agency ad valorem tax rate for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. The taxes collected are used to meet our financial contractual obligations related to the state water project. To determine the necessary amount raised by ad valorem taxes, staff analyzes and compares the agency's current year and projected revenue from the agency's replenishment assessment charge, which is available to cover state water project charges, along with current and projected in, oh, I'm sorry. In order to determine the amount necessary to be that we need from the taxes, staff analyzes and compares the agency's current year and projected revenue from the rack charge, along with current and projected increases in property values and its impact on the ad valorem tax revenues against the current anticipated state water contract invoices in fiscal year 26-27 and projected cost, projected agency state water project reserve targets, and the current and anticipated costs associated with supplementary water supply projects and subsidence remediation that will appear on state water project invoices. Taking these factors into consideration, along with tax rate stability, the agency recommends a tax rate necessary to fund current expenditures and provide an adequate ending reserve balance for long-term revenue requirements. The agency utilizes revenues generated by the agency's RAC charge and the state water project to meet its financial contractual obligations for imported water from the state water project. The RAC is intended to only cover charges attributable to the delivery of the state water project, and the state water project tax is intended to cover charges related to the availability of the imported water source. The agency's Enabling Act only allows the RAC to include recovery of the state water project charges attributable to the delivery of state water project and does not allow the RAC calculation to include recovery of the state water project charges attributable to the availability of state water project water. It would be infeasible to utilize the agency's retail water rate revenue to pay for all of the upcoming state water project expenditures, given that a significant portion of state water project water is used by water purveyors other than the agency for delivery to their retail customers, and B, the agency's retail rates and charges for fiscal year 26-27 have been calculated in accordance with Article 13D of the California Constitution. The agency also pays the RAC assessment on the production of water from areas benefiting from the recharge of imported water. Therefore, the agency's retail water rate includes a proportionate share of the RAC-related expenditures as compared to other groundwater producers within the agency's boundaries. If the agency were to include all the 26-27 state water expenditures in the calculation of the agency's retail water rate, it would need to increase from the $2.92 per 100 cubic feet to approximately $4.61 per HCF, increasing the agency's retail water rate by 58%. Through adoption of this resolution, the Desert Water Agency Board of Directors will fix the tax rate at 5 cents per $100 of assessed valuation as included in the 26-27 general fund budget. This is a reduction of 1 cent compared to the rate charged in fiscal year 25-26. The attached summary of assessed valuations and resulting tax rates from the 26-27 Desert Water Agency general fund budget provides a breakdown of source of the estimated property tax revenue. If resolution number 1376 is adopted today, staff will submit a copy to the County Board of Supervisors to be included on their upcoming agenda for adoption. The resolution directs the County Board of Supervisors to levy such tax rate for the 26-27 fiscal year on all taxable property within the agency. Fiscal impact. So by fixing this rate of 5 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, this will provide a little over $32 million in estimated property tax revenue, which has been included in the 26-27 general fund budget. Legal counsel has reviewed this report and resolution. As far as strategic plan alignment, this aligns with Goal 1, Sustainability, Initiative 1.1.3, maintain local water supply sustainability, manage and maintain the ability to import water into the West Whitewater Management Area of the Indio Subbasin and Mission Creek Management Area. And then additionally, Initiative 1.5.3, promote sound agency governance through establishing and maintaining board-approved policies, resolutions, and ordinances. Staff recommends that the board adopt resolution number 1376, establishing the tax rate for the 26-27 fiscal year of 5 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Director Bowman?
None from me. Thank you for a thorough presentation.
Director Grasha?
I want to default to my question that I have on almost every opportunity on a subject like this. So with that rate, we're certain that should the board vote to continue its involvement in sites, that's enough. We're collecting enough to be able to continue that. And then I understand those numbers might be quite enhanced compared to what we've been dealing with in past discussions on this. So I'm just want to.
At this point in time, it does not include this rate as it stands of 5 cents.
Oh.
It does not include sites charges.
Okay.
We are projecting out the eventual application of sites charges, so those don't hit for several years after construction is complete.
Oh,
And that would also be conditional to it, the
Okay.
sites project being accepted onto the statement of charges so that we could use our state water project tax to pay those charges. So at this point in time, 5 cents. In the
No.
future, when we're talking like 10 years down the road, we may need to talk about adjusting the rate.
Perfect. Secretary Treasurer Ortega?
Just to clarify with regard to the rack. So right now, the way the rack has been calculated and the way it's been built into our domestic water rate to our customers, we're essentially subsidizing that rate through the rack. But we also have a plan to increase that rack significantly over the next few years to the point where we will be, the intention being to recover 100% of the cost of that delivery. So you talked about, how much that rate would have to increase in order to fully cover the cost of delivery. And we're eventually, in my take on this is that that is the plan eventually. Although we've not done a rate study that would actually support that at this point, but that seems to be the intent, is it not?
So the rate studies that have been, when we do the engineer's report, it does include that. That is what's included. And when we do our rate studies, we do include that plan to increase the RAC, the replenishment assessment charge, by $20 per year until it is sufficient to cover all of the transportation and distribution costs. Those variable costs are allowable to be covered by the replenishment assessment charge, as well as the other charges that are associated with importing and recharging water into the Mission Creek and Indio subbasins. So yes, that is included in our long-term rate study, that strategy that you have mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Vice President McKenna?
I'm always thrilled to see a reduction in the property tax bills at the end of the year. Since I've joined this board, the reduction in the agency's tax has reduced my property taxes by $250. The rack fee has increased my water bill by about $60. So I think it's a great deal for the customer that uses less than the average amount of water. It encourages conservation to move to a rack fee and to get all of those expenses into the rack. I don't think it's going to be a substantial increase. It's going to go up from $265 to $295 or something. It's not a huge increase. So yeah, I'm delighted to see this. I am in favor of it.
I do not have any further comments or questions, so I'll look for a motion.
Good. Make a motion. Move the staff recommendation.
I'll move staff, that we accept staff's recommendation on this.
Okay, we have a first by Secretary Treasurer Ortega. I'll second.
Director Bowman,
Aye.
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega,
Aye.
Vice President McKenna,
Aye.
and President Bloomer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 8D, request board authorization to award contract for constructing the 2024 summer replacement pipelines project. Mr. Mulhug.
Good morning, President Bloomer and members of the board. This morning, I'd like to request board authorization to award the contract for constructing the 2024 summer pipe replacement pipelines project. Capital improvement budget includes capital project 221062 for a replacement pipeline project for 3 project areas in the city of Palm Springs. You can see those areas in your attachment number 1. This project will install approximately 9,000 lineal feet of 8-inch ductile, 300 feet of 12-inch ductile, and 1,500 feet of 16-inch ductile iron. The project's estimated to last approximately 5 months. On June 17th of 26, Desert Water Agency received 6 bids for the project. You can see the breakdown of those bids in attachment number 2. The bid amounts and engineer's estimates are shown below. Borden Excavating Inc. submitted the lowest responsive bid for this project. The low bid is approximately 20% lower than the second lowest bid. Borden Excavating is considered a capable contractor with a current Class A contractor's license, and they have done, I think, almost all of our projects in the last 10 years plus. Borden's bid is approximately $800,000 lower than the engineer's estimate. That estimate was calculated based on average prices from previous replacement projects. The budget amount for the capital project is $5.276 million. The estimated cost for this project is $4,070,500. Which is approximately 1.2 lower than the agency's budget. And with that being so much lower, the staff will look to see if we can add some extra streets that we can get replaced as a change order on this project, if we can make those stars align. Prior action on May 19th, 26, the board authorized the project to go out to bid, and the fiscal impact I mentioned the budget of $5.276 million. The total cost for the project's estimated to be $4.07 million, approximately 1.2 lower than the budget. And again, we'll hopefully add some additional streets to that to use that additional funds. Finance Director Slough has reviewed this report. Legal review performed at the time of contract execution. This aligns with Strategic Plan Goal 3, Modernization, Initiative 3.1.1, ensure the ability to continue to effectively serve our retail water customers with the agency's distribution system infrastructure. And with that, staff recommends the board award the contract for the 2024 summer replacement pipeline projects to Borden Excavating, Inc. in the amount of $3,444,777. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Director Bowman, any questions?
None from me.
Director Gracia?
I have no questions, but thank you. I know this was something that's been at previous boards' top priorities, and I'm glad to continue it as our priority.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega?
Yeah, I'd like to see the location map.
Division 1. Next to the Riviera.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Oh.
I know my maps. So when you say you're interested in adding other streets, do you have something in mind already?
We have probably another 5 or 6 miles under design. So it just depends kind of how far they are along in their design and whether we can do them separate from the area and a few of those things. But hopefully we can get at least 1 street to add to this.
But this would, when you say additional streets, they're not necessarily in this neighborhood.
That's correct.
Okay, they might be in other parts of town.
That's correct.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Vice President McKenna?
Could you bring up the bid numbers again?
I'm sorry, you want
I want to see the
bid?
Yeah,
Bid numbers?
Yeah. It strikes me that Borden, and I know Borden is a good company, and we've used them before. We did great work last year. Are you worried that that number is considerably lower than everybody else?
I am not worried about that. He is traditionally significantly lower than the other bidders. Which kind of explains the gap in the engineer's estimate. We use kind of the average cost on bids for the engineer's estimate to, be conservative in that regard. And because if Borden doesn't bid, then we're talking more real, the average bids of the other companies. So we can't count on him bidding, even though he has traditionally.
Well, that's good. All right, thanks.
My question is, on the change order, does that come back to the board or?
It depends how much we do.
Okay,
But
all right.
hopefully we'll do enough that we'll need to bring it back to you.
Okay, perfect. Even if it doesn't come back to us, at least give us an update if you go through with the change order.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what you add. Okay, with that, I'll look for a motion.
I'm sorry. I move the staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
We have a first by Director Grasha and a second by Secretary Treasurer Ortega, and now we'll do a roll call vote.
Director Bowman,
Aye.
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega,
Aye.
Vice President McKenna,
Aye.
and President Bloomer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to action item 8E, request approval for contract amendment for general manager and updated salary and classification chart dated July 1st, 2026. Ms. Hopping.
Thank you very much. So this is to bring to the board the official contract on June 16th. The board of directors approved a salary increase for the general manager of 7%, bringing her monthly base salary to $28,903. The board also elected to award her discretionary bonus, incentive award, of 5% of her total annual base salary as a result of her annual performance evaluation. The bonus awarded is $17,341.80. The incentive is being awarded based at least in part on the accomplishment of specific goals set by the board of directors that are achieved by the general manager. There's no prior action on this item. The salary increase has been included in the budget, and Finance Director Slough reviewed the report. Legal did review the contract amendment. It had no concerns, and you'll see the draft amended agreement. Wow. Okay, is attached, and also the salary chart is attached to reflect the change in her base salary, so that it would be current on our website for CalPERS purposes. So this also aligns with our strategic plan alignment to provide competitive pay and benefits to our employees to retain skilled workforce and attract new qualified talent. And staff recommends that the board of directors approve the first contract amendment for general manager signs and approve the updated salary and classification chart dated July 1, 2026. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Perfect. Thank you. Director Bowman, any questions?
None from me.
Director Grasha?
Well, I just want to say that, like I've said, I think 3 meetings in a row, you've done an extraordinary job at the agency, and I'm thrilled with the outcomes so far and projected going into the future. So that's it.
Okay. Secretary Treasurer Ortega?
Nothing further to add?
Vice President McKenna?
None for me.
And I don't have anything to add to that, so I will look for a motion.
I move the authorization of the agreement.
I will second that.
Okay, perfect. We have a first by Director Grasha, a second by Secretary Treasurer Ortega, and now we will do a roll call vote.
Director Bowman,
Aye.
Director Grasha,
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega,
Aye.
Vice President McKenna,
Aye.
and President Bloomer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 9, General Manager's Report. General Manager signs.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. The first time that we have on this report is an update on the funding status of the Sites Reservoir project. Back on Wednesday, June 17th, the California Water Commission committed an additional $268.9 million for the Sites project and conditional supplemental funding. And that award was for additional public benefits that have been developed by the project, as well as an inflationary adjustment. So that with that adjustment, the CWC has awarded a total of WISP funding in $1.363 billion for the project. and that is for the state's share of benefits. We also have an update on the water rights permit. As you recall, back on March 20th, 2026, a draft water right permit and draft decision was issued by the AHO of the State Water Board. And that then opened up a comment period. DWA staff is working in conjunction with legal as well as the other South Delta participants to provide comment on that draft order and terms. And those terms, the comments focused on 3 specific terms, term 23, 30, and 31 for consideration for the AHO for inclusion. Sites Authority, they had also developed and submitted significant comments on those and had requested that their comments be included in the evidentiary record. Given the significance of the information offered by the Sites Authority, the AHO did find that a limited reopening of the evidentiary record was appropriate to admit the Sites Authority analysis. And this will create an additional supplemental hearing on that analysis, methodologies, and underlying assumptions to be incorporated into the models and analyses to support the AHO's decision and that water right. I have for you on the next page here an updated timeline that makes adjustments. We were originally anticipating that the AHO would be providing by the 15th of this month an updated draft based off the comments after taking into consideration the comments that were submitted. But due to this reopening of the evidentiary record and this additional supplemental hearing on it, it will delay that. And so we are now looking at a revised draft by September 3rd. And then there will be another comment period and a hearing with the state board to consider those, which DWA will be engaging as appropriate during that time. I'd like to move on to the announcements. We had a new, as you are well aware, Director Carla Nemeth had resigned and stepped down effective, I believe it was July 1st of this year, to take a position as the Aqua's executive director, which of course created a vacancy at the Department of Water Resources. Governor Gavin Newsom announced the appointment of Thomas Gibson as director of the California Department of Water Resources last Monday, the 29th, to succeed Carla. And however, this position does require Senate confirmation. And I have a little bit of background on Thomas Gibson here. He has been with DWR for some time, and so he is not new to the space, but new to the role. Moving on to our engagement and outreach. As you may have noticed, driving around town, we have a couple new billboards up. As you are already aware, we have historically just had one here on Dinah Shore. And so catching the people coming in and out of the area of our service area along Dinah Shore. However, to increase the visibility of our billboard campaign, we have added a new billboard just across from Acinas on Vista Chino, so that to attempt to reach a bigger, broader audience. So in addition to the new location, our public affairs team has been working hard on this new campaign that can be customizable, and it is to build off the tagline, "The desert depends on." Right now it's all of us, but can be that script that you see on there can be adjusted from time to time to target different things along with different imagery. So stay tuned to new advancements there and new billboards as they come available. Also like to highlight the community workshop number 2 for the Mission Creek Subbasin for the 2027 Sigma Alternative Plan update. And so progress is being made on that update for the alternative plan for the Mission Creek Subbasin. As a part of the effort, there will be another community workshop. This will be the second one that will be held virtually on Tuesday, July 21st from 1 to 3 p.m. The GSAs and consultants within the subbasin will have the opportunity at this workshop to highlight the recent progress and updates on the basin plans, the conditions, the water supply, demand forecasting, management actions, sustainability criteria, and upcoming steps in the process. So our community members and even our board of directors, if you so choose, are encouraged to participate in the discussion as we have the opportunity to provide comments and feedback during the workshop. And that Zoom link is there. Also, I want to add another update on another workshop that will be had that is not included in this general manager's report because the details have been finalized after we had finalized this report. And it is a Coachella Valley Salt and Nutrient Management Plan update. I want to share that the CVSNMP Technical Memorandum number 5 is now available for public review and comment. And our Water Resources Manager, Sarah Rapola, she had sent out the board some information on that for your reference in an email. And documents of the development and forecasting tools used to evaluate the future nitrate and salt conditions in the Coachella Valley groundwater basin and establishes the baseline for the scenario that will serve as a foundation for evaluating future management alternatives. The CVSNMP team is accepting comments now through July 22nd. So we wanted to make sure to have that information in your hands as our next board meeting is on July 21st and would not provide you much time to provide your comments to the agency. Moving on to system leaks, you will see that we had a significant amount of activity in the last 3 weeks since we have last met with a total of 67 leaks. And while that does seem rather significant, it was over a 3-week period, but that does equate to about a 3.4 average leak per day. And over the past several months, we've been experiencing an average about 0.2 to 0.5 per day. So it is an increase. However, this does typically happen with our change of seasons when the temperature significantly spikes up and we solidly settle into the hundreds. We see this rate. Last year at this point in time, we also had around a 3.2 to 3.5 average per day. And then here in the next couple of weeks, it's going to taper off and we're going to settle back into about 1.2 to 1.5, it seems. So it is alarming, but this is the trend as we have that expansion with the change of temperatures. We see that change and then we kind of settle into our new normal for the next year. Moving on to management activities, I'm going to pass it off to Public Affairs and Conservation Manager Lort for a highlight of her activities.
The General Manager signs. Members of the board, good morning. There's quite a detailed list. I just want to highlight just some overall activities. As you can see, it's been rather legislatively heavy in terms of meetings from Aqua's Monday morning lobby groups to updates with both our state and federal advocates. Additionally, just kind of going chronologically here, trying to increase our media relations as well. So been meeting with KSQ and slowly going to go through the different channels and companies moving forward. Additionally, I did do a couple of the KSQ segments. That's a shared duty between myself and the public affairs teams, or team singular. Also, we have some work on the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians legislation that happened this past month, including a few of the supervisor module trainings that both Director Hopping and General Manager Sign talked about at the last meeting. And then lastly, at the end of June, attended the AWWA conference. Simultaneously, we had some meetings with Senator Padilla's office, Representative Calvert and Ruiz's office, as well as some of the committees, House Natural Resources, and then Senate Environment and Natural Resources, both minority and majority staff. Additionally, closing out the month, been working with the Department of Water Resources on filming, which is happening tomorrow on a State Water Project video. So excited to show you guys the final project when that happens. And that would be all. There's quite a bit happening. And then we are trying to get that kickoff scheduled for the AMI customer portal as well and get that work underway. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to my meetings activities, I want to back up a little bit. I skipped over a new section that we've added to the report, which is the upcoming board public events and conferences. So we wanted to add a little kind of look ahead of what's happening. I know there's a lot of emails that kind of come in with announcements of the different activities that are compensable that are coming up. So we're going to attempt to summarize it here looking kind of a month in advance, and we can change that length of time as appropriate. If you want to see maybe 3 months in advance, we may be able to do that as we know. But right now, so we're planning on building this out so you just have a nice snapshot in all in one place of everything that's kind of going on for you. So moving on to my highlights of my meetings activities. So on June 22nd, we did have our quarterly GM meeting with the 3 water districts, Mission Springs Water District, CVWD, and DWA. And this is according to our 2004 settlement agreement. So we are continuing to hold those quarterly meetings. I did on the June 25th, participated in a recruiting kickoff meeting with CPSHR for our IT director position. And also on the 30th, attended the Aqua Protect Affordability Work Group through their vision effort. And also attended the IAA. It is for the State Water Project Independent Auditor Association, where we had a statement of work meeting with Ernst & Young. So as you may recall from previous agreements, we have a master service agreement for about 5 years. This is the last year of it, I think, to where a group of state water contractors, have created this IAA, and we contract with an independent auditor to audit the statement, to do work on statement of charges, just to make sure that we agree with what we're paying for. So we had a meeting on the statement of work for for the 2027 bill year. And with that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Director Bowman, any questions? Director Gracia?
I have no questions. Thanks for the thorough report.
Secretary Treasurer Ortega?
None, thank you.
Vice President McKenna?
Excuse me, none from me.
None for me either. So we will move on to item number 10, Director's Reports on Meetings and Events attended on behalf of the agency that are compensable. Director Bowman.
Thank you. I attended at the end of June the American Water Works Association meeting in DC. And I've done many meetings over the years. I've been director for DWA and also MSWD. I have to say, the AWWA is huge. I couldn't believe that it was 10,000 people. It was crazy. At the convention center in DC, they took the whole convention center for the people to watch the speaker, the main speaker, and then underneath it, the vendors. Just massive. They had a great opening speaker, Charles Fishman, who wrote a book, The Big Thirst. And the whole premise of his book, The Big Thirst, is the concept of what it took to get to the moon, the Apollo project, and how that it was all about presenting a challenge and then showing the public that this can be done, we need to do it. And then he tied that in with water, and how that our role here in DWA is, of course, providing water to the people, the ratepayers, and our transparency is paramount. And I applaud us for being able to do that very effectively. Attended a number of workshops, several dealing with cybersecurity, with PFAS, and of course, the big discussion of data centers and how that is a national challenge for everybody, water districts and cities. one of the most exciting things, apart from those meetings, I went to the DC Blue Plains sewage treatment plant. And only a water geek would get excited about sewage treatment. I suffice to say, it was established before DC really started growing. They are completely landlocked. Their treatment is 294 million gallons a day. And I know that the MSWD just put in the Nancy Wright, I think it's what, 1.3, 1.6 million gallons a day. The size of this Blue Plains plant was staggering. Also attended a dinner with our legislative helper, Chris Pauley, and his staff. It was a pleasure to meet the staff. These are the folks that put out, the Minnesota Water Leader. Also, they send out the wonderful email that gives all kinds of background to many things. It was a pleasure to meet the staff people. And then yesterday, I did the Know Before training, and that concludes my report.
Perfect time.
Okay.
Our cybersecurity locked me out, but I got in just as you were finishing. So I'll be able to go through the list. I was very nervous there, very, very anxiety ridden. On the 2nd, which was Thursday, Desert Valley Builders Association legislative meeting at 7:30 in the morning at Rancho Mirage City Hall. There was a lot of information exchanged. I was able to comment on the Metropolitan Water District's continued prioritization of our districts and Coachella Valley Water District's agreement to continue advanced deliveries, which I think is a huge, that would be on the front page of the newspaper if this was the 1970s or even the 80s or 90s. But today, that kind of news just doesn't seem to ripple out across the interest level of our new news media. On the 6th, I had, yesterday, I had the IT security training, 21 questions. I don't know how well I did. I didn't give me a score, but I think I did all right. I said that we'll send your score to to them. They know the score, but I don't know the score, so I can't comment on it. Today's Desert Water Board meeting, and it seems like there was, let's go back further. So on the 17th of June was the Desert Valley Builders event. I think that was the one at the convention center.
At the Air Museum.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry about that. And oh yeah, no comment on. They had we were building skyscrapers out of index cards and Scotch tape, and it was actually turned out to be kind of interesting. Our table won. I didn't participate, but our table got the grand prize. I think that was
Perfect.
I was sitting there thinking how dumb this is. And then the lady at the end of the table built a skyscraper that, probably 4 feet tall. It didn't fall down. So she won the award. So everybody at the table got a $25 gift card from.
They're really good prizes.
And so I gave mine to her. So, and I don't have to report that, right? Because it's only $25. Where are we here? Then the CVWD meeting, which was on the 23rd. The Aqua on the 25th. The Santa Ana River Metropolitan Water District of Orange County had a presentation that was actually quite fascinating. I grew up in Orange County. And so whenever they talk about I never learned any of that history stuff about water. It just wasn't part of the conversation. But now to hear what went on when I was a little kid and the outright fights that they had to secure water rights, fascinating to learn it when you're an old man. And then another aqua event, which was the Region 8, which is held in Pomona. And it was the general manager was the main speaker from Eastern Municipal Water, Maud. I hate to butcher his name, but he gave an excellent presentation on the subject of that their faith. They have apparently 1 million people in their service area, and they're expected it to grow to 2 million people over the next number of decades. And I can't imagine that kind of living in an area that's going to double. You know, when I grew up in Orange County, it doubled, tripled, quadrupled, but you didn't see it because it was happening in South Orange, somewhere else. You know, it didn't happen. It didn't grow on top of you, which is apparently what's going to have to happen if they keep doing it in California. They're approving these 4-story apartment buildings that are just, I hate to think what it would be like to grow up on the first or second floor of I think we had the best lives in world history as children. Anyway, that was an excellent day, and I think it was well worth the trip for me anyway. And I think let's see what this is. Oh, Metropolitan Water District Water Policy Forum. Did I cover that last meeting? I don't know where I'm at. And then, yeah, that's going too far back, I think. That's
Okay.
it. Thanks.
Thank you. Secretary Treasurer Ortega.
Thank you. So I too attended the AWWA conference in Washington, D.C. from the 21st to the 25th. I've been to that conference several times now. It's quite technical. It's quite large, as Director Bowman has already mentioned. It's a little overwhelming, not only because of the size, but some of the material. But there was a significant amount of focus on data centers. I think I found at least 8 or 9 different presentations given over the three days of the actual conference. And I attended quite a few of those, since that seems to be a hot topic in the desert right now and actually throughout the country. The Washington, D.C. area, the greater metropolitan, including Virginia and Maryland, has probably the highest concentration of data center growth in the country right at the moment. So it was there was a lot of information from water agencies in that area as far as their own experiences of dealing with that, how it affects ratepayers, how it affects water quality, how it affects a lot of things that we may be addressing at some point in the future. Also focused on a few other presentations that had to do with contaminants, and particular one that I found most interesting, especially in a great amount of research that AWWA has sponsored, done on microplastics in water systems. And not only looking at the health implications, the potential health implications of microplastics in water systems, but what water systems are starting to do in regard to that. And so I always find that conference very fascinating because it's quite different from a lot of the others that we go to. And then on the 29th, I also did my cybersecurity training. Thank you.
Okay, Vice President McKenna.
Since our last meeting, I attended an executive committee meeting here and it just moved, July 2nd. That's it for me.
Okay, I was also on June 17th, Desert Valley Builders Association mixer or celebration at the Palm Springs Air Museum. And then on June 21st through the 25th in Washington, D.C. for AWWA. And in addition to the sessions, also I really find the exhibit hall interesting. And one of the most interesting booths I think that we found was leak detecting dogs. They had a booth there. They had a couple of the leak detectors themselves there. So that was very interesting. And also happening in the exhibit hall are the competitions of like the pipe fitting competition and fire hydrant competition and things like that. So those are all very interesting. And the conference is great because it's also international. I think the team from Mexico won the pipe fitting competition. So it was it's a great conference, and you just get to meet people from all over, and you get to meet operators as well as executive staff and board members. And then in addition to that, I also accompanied Ms. Lort on the congressional visits with all the different offices. And we also got to see the lovely state fair and Ferris wheel set up on the lawn, which was very interesting. And then on July 2nd, I had the executive meeting here. And that is it for me. And then, so we will move on to item number 11, director's comments and requests. So any comments or requests, Director Bowman?
Nothing from me.
Director Gracia?
On the subject of data centers, which is a big topic out here, and I suspect it will continue to be. It was reported at the legislative meeting at Desert Valley Business Association that from the gentleman from Desert Hot Springs, that his analysis is that Desert Hot Springs will enact a 2-year moratorium. Palm Springs has not done that, has said nothing. There, the plan for that center, as I understand it, was pulled. Well, that's not. And this was the center that's suggesting that they're only going to be using 200 and change of acre feet of water per year, I think is the number they put out publicly. A flurry of Freedom of Information Act requests were put in to kind of nail down what's really going on with these data centers and how it will affect us out here. I mentioned that data center in Palm Springs will use nearly twice the energy as the entire Coachella Valley combined. And the request that the Coachella facility put in for is likely more legitimate for water on the water side, was 12,000 acre feet per year, which is double what we're seeking from the Sites Project, and that's only every now and then. The Sites Project isn't going to provide us 6,000, and you're welcome to correct me if I'm wrong on that. And we're talking about a lot of money. And if you consider that at 12,000 acre feet, that's more water than the entirety of the Mission Springs Water District produces in a year to one address. So this whole thing, in my view, is worth our time as board members to kind of try to, what's going on over there? Oh, they went through it. Well, that's just to make you tired. That's not going anywhere. That's the center that's in the city of Palm Springs, right across from Coachella. And if I had to guess, that's the one that will probably reappear at some point, because I don't see City Palm Springs taking that aggressive stand on the subject. And so that's the one, that's us. And it's 12,000 acre feet. And my question to you guys, you don't have to answer, but something to put in the back of your mind: can you afford to lose 12,000 acre feet of water out in the pass like that? I don't know how that works, but I know that it's a question that somebody's going to have to answer somewhere down the line. So that's it.
All right, Secretary Treasurer Ortega.
I have nothing.
Vice President McKenna.
Yes, I'm a little bit worried about this whole data center water energy consumption problem. It's been on my mind for several months, and I was kind of reassured that nobody would build a data center in the Southern California Edison territory with the energy cost that they pass along. But I may be wrong. You know, when I saw that warehouse demand for 220,000 gallons of water a day, it's not a warehouse.
Right.
It just isn't.
Right.
And here it was going under the radar completely until somebody noticed. I mentioned it at our last meeting, I think. I'm not saying I'm the only person who noticed, but we have a really perfect storm emerging here. These data centers are using evaporative cooling. It uses huge quantities of water, just blast it into the atmosphere. They use a huge amount of electricity, which the grid cannot sustain. It's teetering on the brink of collapse right now, I believe. This is not good news. A couple of weeks ago, I asked for, can we refuse to supply these people with water? And I need to know the answer to that. So let's get on that right away, please.
Okay. And my only comment is there's still tickets available for the Palm Springs Chamber tram mixer at the top of the tram. It's 30 degrees cooler up there. So it's a great place to go for an evening on this Thursday. And with that, we will adjourn into closed session to discuss items 12A through 12C as shown on the agenda. And we will meet back in there at 9:35. We're good? Okay. We returned from closed session with no reportable action, so I will adjourn this meeting and we'll see you in a couple weeks.